This one is how seers do forensic prophecy. I'm going to be touching 4 ways that seers do forensic prophecy in this video. And you don't want to miss out of any of them because the 4th one is my favorite. So stick with me to the end of this video as I expose you to some of the leading secrets of how seers operate. Seers are people whom God has appointed or called into doing the prophetic. They are his mouthpiece and they have the ability to see in the realm of the spirit. So catching the vision is one of the things that they have are profound at doing. They have it. They are profound at doing it. So catching anything from the spirit realm with their spiritual eyes is cheap talk when we are talking about seers, because they have been helped by the Spirit of God in that way, mentored to do so for some. But how do they communicate the message that God gives to them? There are styles of doing these things. This thing called forensic prophecy. I'll be touching 4 ways you can do forensic prophecy. The first one is direct proclamation. What I mean by direct proclamation is what you can see with Elisha in 2 Kings chapter 4 and verse 15. These are also called angelic approach to the prophetic. When angels come on a mission to anybody, they come straight to tell you God said, they proclaim head on. And when Elisha had an encounter with a Shunammite woman to prophesy to her, he said, at about this time next year, you shall embrace a son. You shall have a son. So this one is direct proclamation. So as you are seeing it in the realm of the spirit, you're just narrating it. That's how angels, in most cases, do their prophecy for the time they came. So when you say, thus saith the Lord, it comes in that form. So don't try to blend it. You need to know whether this is the pattern that God wants you to be dishing out the prophetic. Not everybody prophesies this way anyway. But it's important to take note of this, that there is what we call direct proclamation. You hear, this is hear and prophesy, or see and proclaim. That's another way to put it, see and proclaim. Thus saith the Lord, as I have, or I am going to do so and so and so. That was the approach that was given to the young prophet Samuel in 1 Samuel chapter 3, when the Lord appeared to him in the temple that night. The way God said it to him was the way he narrated it to Eli. And he had prophesied when he did. That's our most popular way of prophesying, actually. And most people think prophecy should be done that way alone. In fact, one of these, my reverends back then, said if God is speaking, he will say, thus saith the Lord. So if somebody's prophesying and doesn't say, thus saith the Lord, it's not from God. No, it's only one of the ways that we pass on what we catch. We have the ability to tap into that realm and then catch the message, pass it on. The second way seers do forensic prophecy is you become the object of the prophecy. This can be seen in 1 Kings chapter 20 and verse 35. One of the sons of the prophet, supposedly a student of the prophet Elijah, an apprentice. He came to stand before Ahab and he had a message for Ahab from God. But to detail this message, there was going to be a problem with Ahab having the patience to listen to him voice out that message at all. So instead of going through that pain, the man decided to put his message into a capsule that made him the object of the message. So the focus of the king of Israel when he appeared to Ahab was his appearance. He had told one of his fellow prophets or sons of the prophet, say, smite me. And the son of the prophet that eventually did smite him to the point where he got a wound, and then he had to use bondage to wrap around his head. Then he came to stand before the king, and the place where the king would be passing through. The king met him, and then he stopped the king and he narrated a story that was of the thoughts of the king. And then the king gave judgment based on that story. And I looked at the king and said, you are the one who have done it. Nathan was another prophet who did it to David. He knew David may not be willing to have the patience in the issue of the murder of Uriah. So this is it when we talk about being the object. You also have the object of the prophecy. The son of the prophet got it right here. He placed himself there as the object. And then when the king paid attention to him, and the king gave judgment based on his story, he said, the king, you are the one, and this is what God is going to do to you. So he detailed this prophecy, and the prophecy actually came to pass. Ahab was judged for what he did. The next way that seers do forensic prophecy and come back with 100% prophetic accuracy is this. Put the prophecy into a drama. This is where Jeremiah comes in. In Jeremiah chapter 35, we saw the prophet Jeremiah brought the descendants of Rechab, the Rechabites, brought them into the temple of the Lord, into the house of a priest, and then set wine before them as was instructed by God, and then instructed them to drink wine. And they said, we will not drink. So prophecy was put into drama. They were first called, then served into the house of the Lord, into the house of a priest, then set a wine before them. They refused to drink. It was then that it dawned on Jeremiah. God wanted to pass a message, and the message was that these people paid attention to the instruction of their fathers. They were tied to it, and then my own people, the Israelites, aren't doing the same. And so Jeremiah released judgment that he would release based on that, as the Spirit of the Lord gave him utterance, as the word of the Lord gave him utterance on that occasion. So you put the word into drama. That is like what we saw with Nathan when he prophesied to David on the issue of the murder of Uriah. Uriah was murdered, and the king needed to be rebuked. And the prophet of the king perhaps knew or was afraid of passing the message across directly. So he came and gave the king a story, a parable, and allowed David to judge based on his perception and discretion with respect to the parable that he had relayed. After David judged, he said, you are the one. You have this and this, but you picked your neighbor's own. So you'll be judged for that. It was obvious and very clear. It's a safe way of passing out your message. Point number 2, which is you become the object, and point number 3, which is you put the message into drama. In most cases, serve to protect you as a prophet. We have a lot of instances, scriptures, where messages were put into drama and then presented to the people, and the people were able to receive it or understand it with ease. And then the power behind the message still went forth to play out. Jesus did a lot of that. The last point, which I said is my favorite, again, is you use a known story. Jesus did this himself. The people pressed in on him in Matthew chapter 12, verse 39, 40, and 41. They demanded for sign. And he said, such an adulterous generation, demanding a sign. But no sign will be given to them except the sign of Jonah. And he said, as Jonah was 3 days and nights in the belly of the fish. So you see, he prophesied about how he was going to die, how he was going to be raised back to life, and how they were going to be judged in the age to come. But he put it into a known story, the story of Jonah, which happened to be a popular story. So that's one way prophets or seers do forensic prophecy and get it right. The thing was as if he was replying to their demand for sign alone. Meanwhile, he was already prophesying not only about his death and resurrection, but he was also prophesying about what was going to come after that. And he got it accurately. Everything was put into a known story. So there are occasions where as prophets we borrow known story. At some point we want to escape criticism. At some point we want to escape being murdered or persecuted, attacked, as the case may be. Then we put it into a known story. So when you tell the story, sometimes they pick some of the things they need to pick from the story by themselves. It's no longer you telling them what's going to become of them. There are occasions where the entire known story you're using doesn't even say anything suggestive of the fact that you're prophesying to them directly. But the target is that they will be able to pick something out of it that tells them you're talking to them. Severally, Jesus used this method in addressing people, and they say, he's talking to us now. But they can't say it outrightly, especially in countries or places where the prophetic is persecuted heavily and you want to escape the authorities that may be incited against you. So the styles that I just did present to you will give you keys to doing that. In the bit like the number 3, where I talked about you putting it into drama, you see, being interactive can be part of it. Prophetic code, like the prophetic code of prophetic question, being interactive with them can be part of putting the message into, or the prophecy into drama. You're interacting with them. You're acting out a portion of the prophecy. Like you say, 5 minus 2 is what? And the person says 3. You say, how many years old are you? Or how many years old is your marriage? And the person says 3 years. You get that? It's part of putting it into a drama, so that you both, or you and the recipients of the prophecy, are acting out the prophecy just like that, as smooth as it can be. All these being said thus far, there has to be a proper foundational knowledge laid for you, a ground laid, so that you can stand upon it and dish out the word of God smoothly to the glory of the name of the Lord as you prophesy. So there's a need for proper awareness and depth with the understanding of the knowledge of the prophetic, because it's really understood enough. That's why it's easy to also flaw in the prophetic when people do, thinking it's something you just jump into without being prepared. I want to stop here and release the grace upon your life to be able to know which to use. There are other ways that forensic prophecy can be detailed, but I'll start with these 3 points here. You want to deepen your knowledge in the prophetic, sign up for my course of the Shadow School of Seers, certificate course in forensic prophecy, and diploma course in forensic prophecy. And your prophetic work will never remain the same again. I mean it to be taken to another depth. You're new on my platform, subscribe to my channel. Waste no time. Do that right away. Like this video. Comment to tell us how it has affected you. And share to bless somebody. God bless you.